Start. The Employees Provident Fund Scheme was introduced by an ordinance in 1952. Later, an enactment came, and in the early stages, the scheme was made applicable only to 6 selected industries which were supposed to have the capacity to pay. Now, of course, more than 60 industries are covered by the Employees Provident Fund scheme. But the Act gives the appropriate government certain powers to exempt certain factories from the operation of the Employees Provident Fund scheme. Thus, the employees in a particular industry are governed by more than one Provident Fund scheme. As is obvious, frequent changes in the place of employment take place, and a worker who is today employed in an exempted factory may in due course join a factory where the Employees Provident Fund scheme under the Act is applicable. Then he faces a lot of difficulties in the transfer of his funds from the exempted scheme to the statutory scheme. It is therefore time that the government did away with exemptions altogether. Then, Mr. Vice Chairman, the need for a comprehensive social security scheme is well accepted in the country. The Government of India some 10 years back appointed a working group headed by Mr. V.K.R. Menon, Director of the Regional Office of the JLO in New Delhi. That working group went round the country and produced a comprehensive scheme for social security, and the recommendation was that the employees' state insurance and the employees' provident fund schemes should be merged into one social security scheme, which would also be able to give workers unemployment benefits and old age pension. It is more than 10 years since this report was submitted, and though the government appears to have accepted the recommendation in principle, nothing has been done in that matter. That is probably due to the fact that a number of provident fund schemes are exempted from the operation of the statutory scheme. How will the government merge these exempted schemes into the social security scheme? So, if the government are serious about merging the employees' state insurance and the employees' provident fund schemes, it is time that they did away with exemptions. It appears that the government of India have granted exemptions where under the law they had no power to do so. That is a wrong trend, and I must voice my protest against this. Then, Mr. Vice Chairman, the management of the Employees Provident Fund by the trustees needs a great deal of improvement. Now, under this scheme, some 30 lakh workers contribute. Some of them contribute 6% of their meager wages, others contribute 8%. The trustees are so callous that they do not see to it that all the deductions from the workers' meager wages are deposited with the proper authorities in time. The result is that lakhs and lakhs of rupees deducted from the workers' wages as their contribution to the provident fund schemes are not deposited with the provident fund authorities or appropriate authorities. The employers are allowed to convert the workers' savings into their working capital. It is the business of the administration, it is the business of the trustees to see that every rupee deducted from the workers is deposited with the appropriate authorities within the time limit laid down under the rules. What we find is that there are penal provisions, but those penal provisions are not enforced, and employers are allowed to convert workers' savings into their capital. That is highly undesirable. It is also harmful to the workers because unless the money is deposited with the provident fund authorities, workers' accounts do not show the contributions deducted from them. The result is that in some cases where the regional directors of the Provident Fund scheme are honest and straightforward, they issue to the workers their account slips without showing the amount due from the employers. The worker who has contributed hundreds of rupees finds that the account slips issued by the Provident Fund authorities show only a meager deposit in his name, and he gets confused, agitated, and discontented, and his heart is not in the work because money deducted from his wages for his old age is allowed to remain with the employers, and the provident fund accounts do not give him credit for that sum. Where the regional directors and regional accounting officers are not so honest, they do not issue account slips to workers for years together, and the worker is kept in the dark about the size of his amount in his provident fund merely because the employer has not contributed the worker's share, and his own share is with the provident fund authorities. All this goes on, but the Provident Fund Authority or the government does not prosecute or does not send to jail the defaulting employers. The Provident Fund scheme was introduced to give the worker a sense of security, a sense of feeling that something is being collected for his old age and his children's stock.